hike alert! Welcome back to Strongman Personal Finance. My name is Christopher Belly. I'm a certified CPA accountant. I'm a fake boglehead investor. I'm author of the book Stop Being a Broke Loser. It's on Amazon. And I'm going to give you a message of calm and reassurance about these rate hikes. Rate hikes, my dirt bikes. So there's this thing called a rate hike, right? And basically what the Federal Reserve, the central bank, the bank of the banks, what they try and do is affect interest rates throughout the economy to slow it down and to slow down inflation. Now, I'm not an expert economist, okay, but I understand the concept of interest rates go up, stuff gets more expensive to buy, and therefore people buy less stuff. Makes perfect sense to me. So things like homes, cars, anything that would require, taking out a loan would potentially be affected by rate hikes. And on top of that, if somebody does buy something during a period of rising interest rates, that item that they bought is going to devour more of their income and leave less income to buy other things that fuel the economy. So that's my genius analysis and explanation of rate hikes. Interest rates go up, people buy less stuff. Inflation cools down. Demand for goods and services goes down, and that slows down inflation and the economy. Now, I want to point out something that a lot of you probably aren't even thinking about. Now, in 2020, stocks went down briefly. Stocks! Grow stocks! And then quickly they went back up, and then they mooned. They mooned! And my own ETF, VT My ET, in the span of about a year, went from about $87 per share to a high of about $108, $109 per share, which is a pretty insane return over a 1 or 2 year period. I mean, I was like, woo! Economy's locked down, everybody's dying, and my stocks have gone up massively. So it was an obvious farce, and there was a reckoning that was due. And we're experiencing that reckoning now. However, I want you to go look at a chart of VT or VTI, which is the total U.S. stock market, and go look at the price of each one of those indices, those shares, or those ETFs, before the pandemic started. VT is roughly where it was at right now. It's roughly at the same price that it was when the pandemic started. It's in the low 80s. It was in the low 80s when the pandemic started. VTI, because U.S. stocks always go up faster than international stocks, because, I don't know, they went up before, so they'll keep going up in the future. VTI is up since the start of the pandemic. So what I don't understand is everybody freaking the F out about these rate hikes and about their stock returns, and they're talking about stocks crashing, when just 2 years ago, stocks were much lower, okay? You're actually up. If you were buying into these indices before the pandemic, you're still up on your initial investment. And if you were buying way before the pandemic, if you were buying in 2011, 2012, like I was, you're still massively up. Okay, the economy has improved massively since the Great Recession. Massively, okay? We're doing much better. And stocks have just crushed it over the last decade and a half. So you people need to freaking calm down, okay? The Federal Reserve, I read their little statement. It's like a 2-minute read. They want inflation to be 2%, okay? Inflation's what, in the 8s or 9s? They're going to keep raising rates until inflation goes down. And this whole inflation thing could drag on for a long, long, long time, because we have a lot of bad stuff going on in the world, okay? Number one, we have the war in Ukraine, Russia, Ukraine. And we have, supply chain issues that are still being worked out from the pandemic. A lot of stuff is more expensive than it used to be. So temporarily, we're probably, potentially going to see a lot of inflation going for the next couple quarters, years, who freaking knows? But at the end of the day, at some point, the Federal Reserve will raise rates high enough, and they will strangle the economy enough, and you clowns will get mad enough because your stoinks will keep going down, that eventually inflation will abate. It will abate at some point. I don't know when that is, but at some point, if your interest rate, if you jack up interest rates to like 50%, What kind of nuclear destruction would that be to the economy? I have no idea. But at some point, inflation's going to go down. And then we're going to enter another bull market. And Lafufu, his little stupid growth stocks are going to go up. And all your other stocks are going to go up a little bit less. And everybody's going to be happy again, okay? This is a natural part of the economy. The economy gets overheated. People start spending more and more and more and more. Inflation starts to pick up. The central bank has to raise interest rates to cool down inflation. Eventually, inflation falls, and interest rates slow down the economy, and blah, 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 blah. We go through this cycle all the time, okay? Look in the past. Interest rates, I think in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, there was a period where Volcker raised interest rates massively, and it was painful, and it hurt, and people's stoinks probably went down. But guess what? Inflation was cooled. And now look at us 20, 30 years later, 40 years later. We're up much more, okay? So you guys need to chill out. I keep seeing this stuff like the Great Reset. What is the Great Reset? What is this thing people keep talking about? There's no Great Reset going on. The Federal Reserve is simply raising interest rates. It's happened before, okay? You clowns are just used to low rates, and you're used to stocks going up in a straight line. I mean, you can literally look at VTI, and you can see for like 10 years, stocks just went up and 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 up, and like basically a straight line. I mean, obviously there's some fluctuations, but it just went up and up and up and up. Okay, sometimes stocks go down too. That's fine. Don't change your plan. I'm just dollar cost averaging. I'm not selling for 30 years. I say this every time a freaking inflation report comes out. Every time a rate hike, my dirt bike comes out. I say the same thing because it doesn't freaking matter. It does not matter. I mean, as a matter of fact, I just bought $500 more of VTI. Or VT, excuse me. Oh, Freudian slip. VT a couple days ago. And you know what I'm going to do on January 1st, or the first trading day of 2023? I'm going to max out my Roth IRA and my wife's Roth IRA. And pretty soon I'll have a 401k. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to have a 401k and I'll be contributing to that. Probably $600-700 a pay period. And that's all I'm going to do for the next 30 years. I'm not going to worry about rate hikes. I don't need to I don't need to read the Federal Reserve statements. I don't care. Okay? Rates will not be up forever. So you people chill out, okay? It's going to be okay. If you bought during the pandemic or the top of the pandemic, yeah, you're a moron, okay? But you've learned your lesson, and instead of buying at the top of bubbles, like if you bought ARK in like the 140s and 150s, just learn to dollar cost average into reasonable ETFs that give you broad diversification, and you'll be A-okay, all right? So calm down. It's going to be okay. The world's not ending. We've had worse times in the world. We've had massive wars, that are nothing like what's going on right now. You're going to be fine, okay? Breathe with me. Breathe. All right. Cheers.